Sylvia Groves from Governance Studio here again. We're back to take another step on our journey of the board minutes and life cycle of board meetings. So welcome back. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we're going to be looking at setting out the attendance and guest information for a meeting. So again, we're taking a very deliberate and slow step-by-step through some minutes so you can see exactly how to work them properly. And so again, rather than just tell you about it, I'm going to show you, which will be a little bit better. And so I'm going to go into my board portal here, and I've got that open. Go down to my meetings. And again, this is the 2022, and we're looking at the August meeting. I'm just going to scroll down here a little bit where I can see the agenda and just jump in there really quickly. August 22, here's the whole agenda up on the screen, but we're looking at the May minutes. So I guess that will be the easiest way for us to do this. And so again, I'm gonna open up those May minutes, and they are gonna look a little bit familiar if you've had a chance to join me on the first couple of sessions of the series. And so last time we looked at this heading up here, this header, what to include in it, and some tips for how to set it out, all that good stuff. This session, we're going to look at this next little section here, which is really about attendance at the meeting. And you'll notice it's not just one big list of attendees. So there's some things here that you can do to make it easier for you if you ever have to go back and do some research on the minutes and who was at a meeting, which directors showed up, which members of management were present, things like that. So I'm going to give you some thoughts and ideas about how you might set up your attendance list, show you how I do mine. So you can see here, first off, I'm starting out with the directors who are present, and they're top right. So first thing you read is which of the directors came to this meeting. And you'll notice I've also identified who is the board chair. So Darla Drake is the board chair, and she happens to be first, partly because alphabetically she would be first, but also she's the chair. And so you can choose to do it in a number of different ways. It's a good idea to think about having a rule of thumb or a standard operating procedure so that all of your minutes will be the same. It'll be much easier to check that you've got everybody. But I tend to really like going alphabetical order, and then depending on the organization, they might wish the chair to be top of the list, even if that's out of alphabetical order. So think about how you want to do that, and then just adopt a standard practice for your organization. You'll notice something different here, though, that you don't see on a lot of sets of minutes. I've also put in this little section here on the right-hand side, another column that says directors absent. And so that way I know for sure who attended and who didn't attend. The reason I like to do this is, I've worked with organizations of all sizes and shapes, and sometimes there can be 12 directors, sometimes there can be 15 or more directors, and it's really easy to miss a name on your list. But if you put in all of the present and all of the absent, and you just count them up, and there's only 14 and there's supposed to be 15, then you know you've missed somebody. So that's actually not really for anybody else's benefit, but for mine. It just helps me make sure that nothing's missing. I would tell you another thing about these directors present. This meeting here happened to be held by teleconference. And so because it's by teleconference, you assume that everyone joins by teleconference. So I'm not indicating whether people were there in person. If this was a hybrid meeting, I would go ahead and indicate which people were there by teleconference or which were in person. However I wanted to do that, probably the teleconference makes more sense to me. Just to make it clear who was there in the room and who was there over video call or video conference or teleconference, as the case may be. So that takes care of all of our directors. And then we've got guests. Now you can call this guests. You could even break this apart into two pieces if you wanted. For example, you might, in addition to having members of management, so you might have members of management present if that's the rule of thumb you're going to use consistently, and then you list all your members of management. Again, you're listing them either in alphabetical order, or you could list them, of course, with your CEO, or if you're a not-for-profit, you might have an executive director is your kind of chief operating person. So they might go first, and then it might go in alphabetical order from there on down. Oh, and look, there I am. I was the recording secretary. So there's my name in that list as well. But you could also have additional guests. So you might have someone from your audit firm, your external audit firm coming, and then you would want to put their name, their title, and the organization they were with. And you might want to set that out in a separate section. So you might say additional guests or external guests. So again, just pick a format to follow and just be really consistent with the way you do that. Now, one last tip I'm going to give you around this section is to always make sure that you're referring to people in this section of the minutes the way they were appointed or elected. So if Darla Drake's real name is Darla Janice Drake, and that's the way she was elected to the board, Darla Janice Drake, I would put Janice in here. If it was Darla J. Drake, I would put Darla J. Drake in the minutes. So that just helps create certainty that this is exactly the person that you're talking about that was in attendance. There's a lot of people named Jones and Smith. And so it could be that it's actually a different Sandra Smith. It could be Sandra R. Smith instead of Sandra L. Smith. So again, think about how you're appointing people, but then once you've appointed them, be really consistent and use that form of their name in the minutes, or at least in this section of the minutes. And we'll talk about the next sections in the next session. So next episode, we're going to be looking at the opening paragraph. But for now, those are all of my tips and tricks and thoughts about your minutes and setting out the attendees in your minutes. So hope you found that helpful. Looking forward to our next session. I will see you then. In the meantime, happy minutes.